ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुक्तापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सह गणललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभयो जगदितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे. So welcome to corporate Bhagavad Gita. We'll continue from where we had stopped last time. So we had just started chapter 9 and completed read the first verse of chapter 9. So so Bhagavad Gita is 18 chapters in total. 18 chapters in total, and some acharyas, they describe Bhagavad Gita as a box of jewel, and they say that the first 6 chapters, then the next 6 chapters, and then there are next 6 chapters, total 18. So it's like a box, and the first and the last 6 chapter is like the covering of the box, and the middle 6 chapter is the jewel, you know. So in the middle 6 chapters, starting from 7th chapter, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it is actually the jewel. Um, if you visualize this, you can understand this better. Let's say we'll take the actual jewel. Yeah. So it's like the jewel box, and inside there is the jewel. So Bhagavad Gita is like this. The middle 6 chapters are talking about bhakti yoga, which is ultimately one should come to the platform of bhakti yoga, and that is the that is that is the goal of human life. That is the goal of being part and parcel of Krishna. It's to ultimately revive our lost relationship with Krishna. So in this particular 6 chapters, the 9th chapter is where a lot of secrets are opened up by Lord Sri Krishna, and the very first um, text we had read. So we'll just go through as a recap and then jump into second. If you have any questions, any comments, you can always interrupt me, unmute and ask me question. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam te guhyatamam pravakshami anusuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatma mokshase subhat. So Krishna is, so here, this particular word that is used is Shri Bhagavan. In the whole Bhagavad Gita, whenever Krishna is speaking, Vyasadeva always said it is Shri Bhagavan. He never said Shri Krishna Vacha. When Dhritarashtra spoke, he said Dhritarashtra Vacha. When Arjuna spoke, he said Arjuna Vacha. When Sanjaya spoke, he said Sanjaya Vacha. But when Shri Krishna spoke, he never said Shri Krishna Vacha. He said it is Shri Bhagavan Vacha. And then Vyasadeva's father, Parashara Muni, he tells what does Bhagavan actually means, the definition of Bhagavan. The Bhagavan means one who has these six opulences in full. What is that? Beauty, wealth, strength, knowledge, renunciation, fame. All of this in unlimited quantity is Bhagavan. And Sri Krishna satisfies all of it. So this Bhagavan is now telling idam tute guhyatama. Guhya is secret. I'm giving you a secret now. Pravakshyami anusuyave jnanam vijnanam sahitam yad jnatam moksha suvat. Pravakshyami means I'm speaking anusuve. You can only speak this to a non-envious person. Why he uses anusuya, non-envious? And the reason for that is Krishna is going to talk about his opulences. He's going to open up his biodata. And last time we discussed about Bill Gates, how much money he earns. It is said that, let's say Bill Gates is walking on the road and $1,000 fall from his pocket. $1,000 is 83,000 rupees. So that much falls down from his pocket onto the ground, and he goes to pick it up. It is said he's so rich that by the time he picks up, he has already earned $1,000. How much time it takes to pick up anything from the road? Few seconds, right? But every few seconds he's earning $1,000. He's earning 83,000 rupees every few seconds. Now if he has to tell who he is, how much he earns, where he lives, how many homes he have, what cars he have, etc., etc., whom he will tell all this information? To everyone? No, right? He will only tell to his friends. Why his friends? Because they will be non-envious. They are happy to see him so much rich. And they won't think enviousness means they won't think like, oh, he has it, why don't I have it? Right? Sometimes we have friends who are very rich, who are very talented. Do we feel envious of them? If we are true friends, you won't feel envious. Similarly, Krishna is saying, this knowledge that I'm giving to you, Arjuna, you are non-envious. Therefore, I am telling you what is there in my heart. I'm telling you what all I am, who I am. I'm telling you. Jnanam vijnanam sahitam sa nyatva mokshate subha. After knowing this, you will get moksha, liberation from cycle of birth and death. From this miserable material existence. In this world, right, we are living, we are always, there's a happiness is there in this world. It is only sandwiched between miseries. It's like if you have eaten anytime sandwich, there are two breads and in between there is tomato or potato or the green chutney or red chutney, whatever. That patty is there, that is in between the two. In this material world, the happiness is sandwiched between two distressful, we can say, bread. So it's more or less very miserable in this world. Now one may say, how it is miserable? So if you see, in this world, there is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Sorry. There is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. What is this? Janma is birth. Birth, death, old age, and disease. These are all things which are common to everyone, whether one be rich or poor or middle class, whatever. And these are the causes of our miseries, discomfort in this world. Old age, or let's say disease. We know when we get disease, it is not possible to function easily, right? We tell to office, I'm not coming today, I am sick. And at home also we cannot, move around because something is paining, there is high temperature. It's a very discomfort situation, right? So so these disease, it keeps coming every 1 or 2 months or 3 months, something happens. And we don't like it. It's not like we welcome disease. When disease comes, we run towards doctor, we say give me medicine, let me come out of it, right? So these things are, so disease is always attacking us. Then there is old age. We never remain young. One day we have to become old. And for those who are old, they know that in that old body it is not very happily living. If you hear very carefully what the old people, they are always talking about, they are talking about, I went to this doctor, I'm taking this medicine, that is not working, this is not working, I'm not able to stand, I'm not able to sit, right? So that old age comes to everyone, whoever one may be, comes to everyone. And it is troublesome. And then ultimately there is death also. That is also very troublesome. Anyone else's death and our own death, we can't imagine, right? It's very frightening. And then there is birth. Why birth is also suffering? First of all, birth itself is a very painful existence. The baby doesn't comes laughing, right? The baby comes out crying. Hmm? And birth starts, from the birth we start our life, and we face all the circumstances in this world. Recently, one young Indian boy, he filed a case against his parents, and he said, because they put me in birth, I am suffering so much. If they had no children, I wouldn't have come and I wouldn't have suffered. That was his argument. So, of course, birth starts our whole life, and it brings us into this world, and we go through so many circumstances. Or not everything is very happy here, right? It's ashashvatam dukkhalaya. So such thing is troubling us. But Krishna says, by this knowledge that I give you, which is knowledge and realized knowledge, both. It is not just theory, it's practical also. You will get liberation, and liberation from this material existence. Okay. So you go to the second verse that we have discussed today. Raj Vidya Raj Guyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshavagamamam Dharmam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. This is king of all knowledge, Raja. You must have heard this word Raja. So it is Raja, the king of all knowledge. If we ask any 12th standard student, what you want to become, they may generally say engineer, doctor, lawyer, whatever. For that time, that king of knowledge is that particular stream, right? But this knowledge is transcendental knowledge. It is spiritual knowledge. It is the king of all knowledge. Raj Guhyam. It is the king of all secrets. Interestingly, this is now open secret. Why? Because Bhagavad Gita is accessible to everyone. Okay, everyone can open up the 9th chapter and read it. And for them, the whole secret is opened up. So how come it remains a secret now? So therefore, it is an open secret. It's an open secret. Like, uh, if you want to get your work done through some government official, there is open secret. What is that? You may have to pay him, you may have to bribe him, right? That is an open secret, a secret which everyone knows, and it's open, like that. So pavitram ida uttama, it is pure in nature, it is not impure. all other knowledge that we have in this world now, physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, finance, they are not pure knowledge. That is impure knowledge. Meaning that knowledge sometimes may give us happiness, sometimes will become the cause of our suffering. So it is not pure. Pure means it will give us a happiness, complete happiness. But the other kinds of knowledge, they won't. Hmm? Many students join IIT, right? And every year we hear from IIT one person committed suicide and all that. Now we are thinking, first of all, getting into IIT is difficult. After getting into IIT, why are you committing suicide? Just finish it off, na? No, the pressure, the knowledge, everything has to be digested now by the student. And some are not able to do it. Very few are not able to do it. So that same thing that they were aspiring becomes the cause of their suffering. So it is not pavitra. But this knowledge is pavitra. It is pure in nature. It will give us complete happiness. Idam uttamam. Again, the word uttamam is required, which means transcendental or topmost. Transcendental. What this particular word, in English is called transcendental. Transcendental means transcend. Transcend means to go above something. So what it is transcending? It is transcending the three modes of material nature. The three modes: sattva guna, rajoguna, tamaguna. Have you heard these three modes? Sattva guna, rajoguna, tamaguna. Anyone?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So what that means is we are being influenced by these gunas. These gunas are ropes or they are influences. Sattva gun means, as the name says, good. So sometimes we are influenced by good, or sometimes we are influenced by rajo. Rajo means passion. There's some passion driving us. Or sometimes we are influenced by ignorance. In the whole day, these three energies, they keep influencing us. But this knowledge is above those three. It will always influence us to pure goodness. Like I was telling, it won't be cause of our suffering. It will release us. Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means direct experience. It is experiential. It is not something theoretical. Sometimes, if some philosophy classes are very, very theoretical. Hmm. Um, I should have given one example, but yeah, if I get an example, I'll tell you. Some philosophical classes are like that. Some people, they speak philosophy in such a way that everyone sits and says, "Wow, wow, this is nice," but at the end, no one understands. But this knowledge that is there in Bhagavad Gita is not like that. It is direct experience. You can experience it. Avagamam. Dharma. It is the great principle of religion. It's the topmost religion. Susukham. Interestingly, it is very, very happy. It will give us great happiness. Susukham. Kartum. When we execute it. Avyam. It will be everlasting. Now, interestingly, why this word avyayam, everlasting, is used? The reason is, whatever knowledge that we gain in this world, right? Whatever, engineering, this, that, it is not everlasting. It keeps changing, right? Someone, 20 years back must have passed out from computer science. Today, the technologies in computer science is changed. So that knowledge is not everlasting for him. Some basic principles may be there today till today, but it has changed. But this knowledge is avayam, it's everlasting. In this life, next life, in future, for eternity. We have never seen such a knowledge in our education. Remember that. That is what is Bhagavad Gita about. That it gives us knowledge which is above the three modes, it is everlasting, it is eternal. Every time we take birth in this world, right, we have to start with A, B, C, D, or A, A, E, E, right? But the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, we don't always start from basics. We start from where we had left in our previous life. That is also another meaning of everlasting. Getting? Okay. So let's
Yes.
move forward. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. Dharma. Dharma means what? Translation in English is religion, but actually it means much more than that. Because sometimes religion can be just faith. I follow this particular faith. But that is not dharma. Dharma is something inherent in us. Okay, just like there is sugar. Sweetness is the dharma of sugar. Meaning, if somebody gives you sugar and it is not sweet, you will say this is not sugar. Right? It is the very essence of that particular object, or it is very essence. So the very essence of our own existence is our self. And in Bhagavad Gita, in the very second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about the self, where he tells that the self has three components to it: the external body, the subtle body, and the spirit soul. So here, this particular picture, you can see this anatomy by Bhagavad Gita. Those who have come from medical field, they will say they have learned anatomy, human anatomy, but never like this. What Bhagavad Gita says is that the external body is a biomechanical machine. Yantra Rudani Maya. It's just a machine. Eyes are like camera, heart is like a pump, bones and everything is like pneumatic machines. And the soul is driving this machine, okay, using software, which is our mind, and the hardware, that is the body. And he's perceiving all that the body is going to offer and do for him. Okay. So the self, but direct perception of the self. So when we identify everything as together, one whole. That is right. But in essence, who we are really? In essence, we are the spirit soul. Why? Because the spirit soul never dies. It just moves from one body to another. Dehino sim yata dehe komaram yovaram jara tata dehantar prapti dhirastatanam. It just moves from one body to another. So our real identity is actually the self, the soul. So this perception we get by this knowledge. And it is a direct perception of the self. None of our physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, finance, could give us this knowledge. Okay. Any question at this point? Okay. So this chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called King of all education because it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies explained before. So many philosophies are there. And that what we are going to discuss in 9th chapter, it is the essence of all philosophies, essence of all doctrines also. Among the principal philosophers in India are Gautama, Kannada, Kapila, Yajnavalkya, Sandila and Vaishnavara. So all these have given their own philosophies. And finally there is Vyasadeva, who gave the Vedanta philosophy, the author of the Vedanta Sutra. And there is no dearth of knowledge in the field of philosophy or transcendental knowledge. Now the Lord says in this 9th chapter, it is that the king of all such knowledge. So there are other knowledges also. Kapila gives the Sankhya Yoga knowledge. Sankhya Yoga, have you heard this? Sankhya Yoga. That is another philosophy. Okay. Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta, you must have heard that word, Vedanta. The end of the Vedas. It's like that. It literally means the end of the Vedas. So many philosophies are there. And Krishna says this is the king of all the philosophies. What it is exactly, we will read. The essence of all knowledge can be derived from the study of the Vedas and different kinds of philosophy. It is the most confidential because confidential or transcendental knowledge involves understanding the difference between the soul and the body. and the king of all knowledge culminates in devotional service. So now I told you we are not the body but the essence, that is the spirit soul. But is the spirit soul doing anything or it's doing nothing? So the spirit soul has a direct connection with Paramatma or Sri Krishna. Okay, that connection is through devotional service, that is bhakti. Okay, it is through bhakti. That is what this chapter is talking about. It's talking about bhakti. Therefore, it is the king of all confidential knowledge. How come bhakti is the king of all confidential knowledge? It's a subject matter that when we go further, we'll discuss. Generally, persons who are not educated in this confidential knowledge, they are educated in external knowledge. That is physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, finance, etc. As far as ordinary education is concerned, people are involved with so many departments: politics, sociology, physics, chemistry. I've used the same words: astronomy, engineering, etc. There are so many departments of knowledge all over the world and many huge universities. But there is unfortunately no university educational institution where science of the spirit soul is instructed. Okay, everything is taught except for the spirit soul. Now, what is the drawback of modern education? Can you tell me what are the drawbacks of modern education? By this line that it is trying to say that the education institute, modern education, doesn't talk about spirit soul. What is the drawback? Why is this a drawback?
Because they doesn't know of spirit soul, they
Yeah,
will be
but
in illusion
they may say,
that
what
they
is
are
the
this
point in
body.
learning about the spirit soul? How will you answer them then?
Uh, we have all the suffering because we are eternal. We want things eternally, but everything here is temporary. So we
Good.
are
Yeah.
unnecessarily suffering. If we know this knowledge, then we can get out of that suffering.
Okay. Any other points? One may say, fine, spirit, soul, and all that. You can enjoy in this world, now. Why are you thinking about next world? Enjoy
Like
this world.
whatever we, but the enjoyment here is very minimal, and for that enjoyment we have to pay a lot of suffering. uh,
No, one
yeah,
may say,
just to get.
no, it's not so much suffering. Little bit only. If you have to earn, you have to earn money. You have to work for some time, and then you get money, and then you can enjoy. No? What is the nature of
But
enjoyment in this world? Basically, it is temporary, right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
will be short for short time, and even if for the rich person it is there for long time, it is only till death, right? So what
yeah,
modern education lacks is what happens after death. This explanation modern education lacks, right? Yes,
yes,
no? Yeah, this is
yeah,
the main important point, that it doesn't talk anything about this. It can talk about birth, it can talk about disease, it can talk about old age, it can talk about every other topic except what happens after death. Here is where the Vedic knowledge comes, and it tells what happens after death. It first starts with the explanation that we are not the external body. Okay, we are internally the essence, the spiritual essence of it. And in this world, it is things are very temporary. So one may say, um, if you rent a car, or let's say you book a Uber, Ola, Rapido, whatever, and that car comes, and it happens to be, let's say, a Mercedes car. For some time, you will enjoy the ride, right? But the moment your destination comes, you have to get out
get
of the
the
car, right? Yeah, but do we want to get out of the car?
No.
No, right? So
Yes.
that question should, um that's the question that modern science doesn't answer. That how come these things are so temporary in this world? Okay.
Yeah.
So the spirit soul is important. Why? Because it never dies. Hmm? Spirit soul never dies. It is eternal, ever living. No death can come to him. This is all from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, right? Now, how to experience that I am spirit soul? There are various ways. Various ways. One is through intuition. Intuitive. What does it mean that, um, it means that when we say my body, my car, me and my car are different. Similarly, when we say my body, me and my body is different. Just by saying that, we can understand that we are separate from the body. Second is very powerful. There are there are studies done on this reincarnation, where people are remembering past lives, right? And scientists have also done research on this. When we see that some are able to remember past life, we definitely understand that, okay, that means we don't live one life, we live multiple lives, right? It gives us some understanding. Oh, we live multiple lives. Yes or no?
Yes, Balaji.
So now the question is, if we going to live multiple lives, we have to think about it, right? We have to think about it or not.
Yes.
Suppose you move into some city, let's say Bangalore. Someone from outside comes into Bangalore, and he's moving from one rented apartment to another rented apartment to another rented apartment. Sometimes he wants to have a permanent place or not. He wants to buy a flat, where he can permanently stay. Such question comes. Why? Because he's moving from one apartment to another, and the owner says now you have to leave. Give me 2 months notice and you go away. So such thing makes him think I should have my own place, right or wrong? Then no one will kick me out of my place. So that eternal concept is there within us. That I am eternal. I want to be in a permanent place. But this happens to be a temporary place. So how can you be permanent? Okay. So past life memory triggers this question to us that, you know, this present life is not permanent. There will be next life. And then the third phenomena is near death experience. Near death experience is is a documented observation in accident cases, in operations in hospital, where the patient says that I came out of my body and I was seeing what you are all doing. Okay. So modern science has no explanation for it, but it definitely documents all this. Yes, this patient felt like that, and he was 100% true in saying this thing, that thing, etc., etc. So that also gives us some understanding that ultimately I'm not the body, I'm something else, something apart from the body. Hmm? So, so such things, about the knowledge of the soul, it questions us and it makes us aware. Okay, what we have to do for the next life. Okay, and now once this spirit soul is known, like theoretically, our next question will: what does the spirit soul actually do? Where does it get happy? You know, how it can get spiritually happy? That is the advanced spiritual knowledge, and that is the part of this chapter 9. Okay, what does the soul do to be happy? Where it actually came from? Hmm? Yet the soul is the most important part of the body. Without the presence of the soul, the body has no value. That means the soul has left the body and moved into another body. That's it. Still, people are placing great stress on bodily necessities of life, not caring for vital soul. See, we have bodily necessities: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. We have to eat. Okay, afternoon is there. We have to eat the lunch. We cannot avoid it. If we try to avoid it, what will happen? We'll feel weak. We'll feel hungry. We cannot function properly. So we take care of our bodily necessities, right? But what is happening is we are only taking care of the bodily necessity. There is nothing other than that we do in our 24 hours of our day. What is needed for the body, we are only focusing on that. So who is getting neglected? The soul is getting neglected. This is where Vedic literatures come and they say that you need to have spiritual life also. Apart from just material life, you need to have spiritual life also. Then your soul will be happy. Okay. So what we discuss is here, the Bhagavad Gita, especially from the second chapter, stresses on the importance of soul. In the very beginning, the Lord says that this body is perishable and the soul is not perishable. This is confidential part of knowledge. So this is a secret. Again, this is open secret. Simply knowing that spirit soul is different from the body and that nature is immutable, indestructible, and eternal. But that gives no positive information about the soul. Okay, it doesn't talk more about the soul. Okay, little bit it does talk, but what does the soul do? Where does it come from? It doesn't talk about that. So this is the um, this is the more confidential knowledge than that. Sometimes people are under impression that soul is different from the body, and when the body is finished, one is liberated from the body, the soul remains in void and become impersonal. So some people say, okay, soul just merges into something and it just peace like that, attaining peace, shanti. But actually that is not the fact. How can the soul, which is so active within this body, become inactive after liberated from the body? It is always active. So the soul is always active. Okay. So after liberation, how can it remain active? If it is eternal, then it is eternally active, and its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential path of spiritual knowledge. Okay, its activities, soul's activity. Okay, what are those? These activities of the soul are therefore inducted here as constituting the king of all knowledge. So, what knowledge talks about the activities of the soul is the king of all knowledge. It is not just about the soul, but it is the activities of the soul, the source of the soul. Then it becomes the king of all knowledge. You understand how this is different from modern education? First of all, modern education doesn't talk about soul. Second thing, it doesn't talk about what happens after death. Third thing, it has no idea only. What does the soul do? This education is purest form of all activities, as explained in the Vedic literature. In the Padma Puran, man's sinful activities have been analyzed and are shown to be the results of sin after sin. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities are entangled in different stages and form a sinful reactions. For instance, when a seed of a particular tree is sown, the tree does not appear immediately to grow. It takes some time. It is first a small sprouting plant and then it assumes the form of a tree. Then it flowers and bears fruits, and when it is complete, the flowers and fruits are enjoyed by persons who have sown the seed of the tree. Similarly, a man performs sinful act and like a seed it takes time to fructify. There are different stages. The sinful action may have stopped within the individual, but the result of the fruit of that sinful actions are still to be enjoyed. These are sins which are still in the form of seed, and they are others which are already fructified and are giving us fruit, while which are enjoying as distress and pain. So this talks about karma. Karma means we do some activity, right? And then it gives some reaction, some fruit it gives. It is in the form of seed. The seed will fructify, become plant, then tree, and then it will give us fruit. At that point, wherever we are in our life, in our journey, that time that fruit is given to us. And we experience distress and pain because of that. As explained in the 20th verse of 7th chapter, a person who has completely ended the reaction of all sinful actions and who is fully engaged in pious activities, become freed from the duality of this material world, becomes engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So one who becomes liberated ultimately achieves devotional service. Okay, how and why, we will discuss as such. In other words, those who are actually engaged in devotional service of the Lord are already freed from all reactions. For those who are engaged in devotional service of the Lord, all sinful reactions, whether fructified in stalk or in the form of seed, gradually vanish. Okay, gradually all the karma is given up. The seed which was sown 50 lifetimes back, 100 lifetimes back, all of them get burnt away when one does devotional service. That is bhakti. Therefore, the purifying potency of devotional service is very strong. It's called pavitram idam uttamam. Pavitram uttamam, purest. Uttamam means transcendental. Tamas means the material world or darkness, and uttamam means that is transcendental to these material activities. Devotional activities are never to be considered material, although it appears that devotees are engaged just like ordinary men. One who can see and is familiar with devotional service will know that they are not material activities. They are all spiritual and devotional, uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the results directly. Okay, this is a very long purport, so I will try to finish this, and then we will discuss some parts of it. This direct result is actually perceived, and we have practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, in course of chanting without offenses, feels some transcendental presence, very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. Therefore, one engages not in hearing but in trying to broadcast the message of devotional activities as well. Or if he is engaged himself in helping the missionary activities of Krishna consciousness, he gradually feels spiritual progress. This advancement in spiritual life does not depend on any kind of previous education or qualification. The method itself is so pure that simply engaging one becomes pure. So this devotional service, which starts with chanting, bhakti, starts with chanting the names of Lord Hari. And here the Mahamantra is given. So when one chants, he starts feeling spiritual happiness. This is everyone's experience when they come to bhakti, right? That just by chanting the holy name, hearing about him gives us happiness. So it is direct perception, right? What to speak of those who are in completely pure state? When they also chant and hear, they also get tremendous happiness. Hmm? So this is what is the direct perception is explained. In the Vedanta Sutra, this is also described in the following verse. Devotional service is so potent that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. A practical example can be seen in the previous life of Narada, who in that life happened to be the son of a maid servant. He has no education, nor was he born into high family, but when his mother was engaged in serving great devotees, Narada had also become engaged. And sometimes in the absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees. And Narada personally says this. In this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.25, Narada describes his previous life to his disciple Vyasadeva. See, we are also taking many life, and Narad Muni, famous Narad Muni, he also took many lifetimes. So one lifetime he talks about where he was a boy servant for purified devotees. There were these bhaktas, and he was servant of them. He tried to serve them, giving them food, whatever necessity, during the 4 months of their stay. That is Chaturmas. So in the Chaturmas, these sadhus were living in Narad Muni's house or nearby Narad Muni. And he was a boy at that time. And he served them. Sometimes those sages left remnants of food on their dishes, and the boy who washed their dishes wanted to taste the remnants. So he asked the great devotees for their permission, and when they gave it to Narada, ate those remnants and consequently become freed of all sinful reactions. You must have heard the word prasad, right? What does prasad actually means? In English, it means blessed food. Okay, it's a Christian term, blessed food. But it means in Sanskrit means um, the first is that we cook food for the deity, then we offer it to the deity with some mantras. After that, that same thing which we called as bhoga or naivedyam change into prasad. So Krishna takes away all the sinful reactions in it. So any food that is cooked right, we are talking about vegetarian food. Even in cooking vegetarian food, we have to kill the plant, and so many living entities are inside. Right? They are to all to be killed. Okay, so there is some resentful reaction even in eating vegetarian food. And Krishna says, I take away all the sins from the vegetarian food when you offer it to me. So when we prepare bhoga for Sri Krishna, he takes away all the sinful reactions from it, and then it becomes prasad. It is blessed. Okay, then it becomes prasad. Just by eating the prasad of the devotees, Narada's all sinful reactions went away. He became freed. As he went on eating, he gradually became as pure hearted as the sages. The great devotees relished the taste of unceasing devotional service to the Lord, and by hearing and chanting, gradually Narad Muni also developed the same taste to hear and chant the holy name of Krishna. Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha, that's the word he used here. Krishna Katha. By associating with the sages, Narad Muni got the taste for hearing and chanting and the glories of the Lord, and he developed great desire for devotional service. I have a question for you all. If someone asks you how to become drunkard, hmm, how to become a regular drinker, what is your answer?
By associating with drunkards.
Yeah, it is not by attempting to drink the alcohol that you will become drunkard. No, you have to simply associate with those who are already drunkards, and you will get that habit, right? Most of us in this call our parents. We are very careful in whom our child associates with. Why? Because we have that experience. Let's say at home some function is there, and other children also come, and there is this one child who is little elder to our child, and he or she is doing something. What do we see later? We later see our own child doing the same thing, right? So we are very careful in whom our child associates. Why? Because at the end he will catch those same habits that the other person has, the other children have, right? So therefore we want to have only good association for our children. Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So we will decide on the association. So similarly, Narad Muni, by that association of the sadhus, he developed the taste for hearing and chanting, and then he perfected his life. So this hearing and chanting is devotional service, is bhakti. If anyone asks what is bhakti, there are many definitions of bhakti, but this is very simple. Bhakti means Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Hear about Krishna, chant his holy name, and that is bhakti. Everything is revealed to him automatically, and you can understand it. This is pratyaksha. So when we chant and all we do, eating prasad and all this is all very pratyaksha. It's very direct. Huh? The gulab jamun or the food really went into our mouth. It's very pratyaksha. The word dharma means the path of religion. Uh, every term the acharyas are going inside and they are explaining what does every term of this shloka means. So I'm also spending time, even though we may finish only one verse today, but it is very important to understand this very essence of Bhagavad Gita. Like I told you, this is like a jewel box. Okay, now what we are looking is the looking at the jewel itself, looking at that diamond. Hmm? If you go to buy a diamond ring or a gold something, you spend time, right, looking at it for various angles,
Mm.
right or no? Similarly, here the acharyas are spending some time, to explain this each and every term. Dharma. So here the word dharma is trying to be explained. This is path of religion. Narmadi actually a son of maid servant. So he had no opportunity to go to school. He was simply assisting his mother, and fortunately his mother rendered some service to the devotees. The child Narada also got opportunity and simply by association achieved the highest goal of all religion. The highest goal of all religion is devotional service as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Savai pumsa paro dharma yator bhaktir adoksaje. See, the word bhaktir is used. So bhakti is the highest goal. Religious people generally do not know that highest perfection of religion is attainment of devotional service. As we have already discussed in regards to the last chapter of 8, generally Vedic knowledge is required for self-realization. But here, although Narada never went to school for spiritual master and was not educated in Vedic principle, he acquired the highest results of Vedic studies. This process is so potent that even without performing the religious process regularly, one can be raised to the highest perfection. How is this possible? This is also confirmed in the Vedas. Um, One who is in association with great acharyas, even if he is not educated or has never studied the Vedas, can become familiar with all the knowledge necessary for realization. I'll just go a little fast, huh? So that we can discuss once I finish reading 2-3 paragraphs. The process of devotional service is very happy. Is very happy one. Susukham. Why? Because devotional service consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord and can attain philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, one can learn. Then one can eat the remnants of the food offered to God, Sri Krishna. Nice palatable dishes. By eating, we will get moksha. Have you heard such thing? By eating, we will get liberation. One may say, oh, eating every day. I'm eating. Why I'm not getting liberation? If you are eating every day prasad, then liberation will definitely come. That's what it means. And here prasad means the remnants of food offered to Sri Krishna, not to anyone else, okay? To Vishnu, Narayan. That remnants, they have the power to give us moksha. In every state, devotional service is joyful. Okay, eating is involved. In other yoga system, right? Like in other yoga system, one has to do this kind of tapasya. Is it joyfully done? Yes or no? Tell me. Is it joyfully
No.
done?
No.
If someone tells you to do these, you know, sit in the Himalayas and meditate, will you be able to do it? Tell me.
No, Prabhuji. No.
No.
Very few are able to do it. Let's put it that way, because there are few people who can do it. So we know it is very troublesome. It is not going to be easy, right? But devotional service is not troublesome. You can advance just by eating. Huh? Krishna says, how come that happens? You don't need to be rich also for devotional service, for bhakti. And Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Patram means leaf, any kind of leaf. Pushpam means flower. Phalam means fruit, any kind of fruit. Toyam means what? Toyam means water. If you offer any of these things, that becomes the Naivedya or the Bhoga. When Krishna accepts it, becomes Prasad. So through any of these things, you can advance in devotional service. It's even possible for even child, right? Devotional possible for Bhakti Yoga is even possible for a child also. It's very simple, na? Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, chanting of the holy names. So it is Susukham. He is ready to accept from the devotee any kind of offering, never mind what. Even a leaf, flower, bit of fruit, or little water, which are all available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person regardless of social position, and will be accepted if offered with love. So all these things we offer to Sri Krishna with love, with some affection within our heart. that Krishna, I want to serve you. Here is how I will serve you with this bhoga. There are many instances in history. Simply by tasting the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, great sages like Sanat Kumar became great devotees. Therefore, the devotional process is very nice and it can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered. Okay, two more paragraphs. It is said here that this devotional service is eternally existing. It is not as the Mayavadi philosophers claim. Although they sometimes take the so-called devotional service, their ideas, as long as they are not liberated, they will continue devotions. But in the end, when they become liberated, they will become one with God. So this becoming one with God is actually a Mayavadi philosophy, which the Vaishnavas don't subscribe. The Mayavadis say that when you get moksha, you merge into the Brahmajyoti and you become the Brahmajyoti. The Vaishnavas don't say that. Vaishnava says when you get mukti, you go to Vaikuntha planets to eternally live there. Okay, such time-serving devotional service is not accepted as pure devotional service. Such temporary, so temporaries are not is not accepted. Okay, actually devotional service continues even after liberation. So even after liberation, devotional service continues. But this kind of tapasya doesn't continue. Okay, after liberation. But what we do here in bhakti, we do the same thing even when we go to Vaikuntha planets. When the devotee goes to spiritual planet in the kingdom of God, he is also engaged in serving the Supreme Lord. He does not try to become one with the Supreme Lord. As will be seen in Bhagavad Gita, actual devotional service begins after liberation. When one is liberated, when one is situated in Brahman position, Brahma Bhuta. Very technical terms, I'll explain. Once devotional service begins, Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhyate Param. No one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by executing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or any other yoga independently. But these yogic systems, one must make a little progress towards Bhakti Yoga. So whatever process one may follow, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, they should ultimately come to Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti should be there in each of these processes to make it perfect, make it successful. Okay. By these yogic methods, one may take a little progress towards Bhakti Yoga, but without coming to the stage of devotional service, one cannot understand what is the personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also confirmed that when one becomes purified, executing the process of devotional service, especially by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita from realized soul, then he can understand the signs of Krishna or the signs of God. Evam prasanna manuso bhagavat bhakti yogataha. When one heart is cleansed of all nonsense, then one can understand what God is. The process of devotional service or supreme Krishna consciousness is the king of all education and the king of all confidential. Okay. Any question at this point? You can unmute and speak. Any question or comment?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. So this question of executed joyfully. In ISKCON, you can see, devotees are dancing, while chanting the holy name. Hmm? This dance brings us happiness. Yes or no?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
So at that very moment, one can experience the happiness. One doesn't need anything other than that. So that's how, even though one may be at any level, maybe pure, impure, whatever, but when he takes to bhakti, he executes it, it is very happy. You all must have gone to Jagannath Puri, no? You must have heard about Jagannath Puri. So Jagannath Puri Prasad is very famous. Okay, this all is there. Different kinds of rice, different kind of dal, sweet, everything in pots. Just by eating this prasad, you will get liberation. While eating, do you feel happy? Of course, right? Everyone feels happy by eating.
Yeah.
Huh? But the picture that I showed about that tapasvi in Himalayas, what do they eat? They may eat very little. So you can see the difference between that tapasvi versus devotional service. In devotional service, you will get all this. Yeah. Within few weeks, there will be Jagannath Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri, and lot of prasad will be cooked. Okay, all that is part of devotional service. Such experiences we don't get in karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, right? It's only in bhakti yoga. It is executed joyfully. Any question on this? Any question or comment? It's 2 o'clock. Any
No
question or
problem.
comment? Yeah. What?
No problem.
You can ask question of other topic also. Hmm? Okay.
I have one question now.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
So we will sometimes seriously practice, sometimes we will try to slip off. Actually we doesn't decide to slip off, but we like knowingly or unknowingly we will try to slip off. So how to how to maintain the same stability throughout
Yeah.
practicing?
Okay. See, when we are in this body, right? These are the three modes that are influencing us. Okay. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Goodness, passion, ignorance. We are going to learn these three modes when we reach 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Hmm? You can read 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to understand more about these three modes. Sattva
Mm,
brings goodness. Hmm? It brings happiness. Passion, rajas means fruitive work, and ignorance, tamas means sleep, indolence, insanity. Okay. And anything that we do in this world, it is always having these three things associated with it. Okay, anything. You take music, you take knowledge. Okay.
yeah.
Let's say there are various musics, right? There is classical
Mm,
music, there is Bollywood music, then there is rock music, and some effect it has on us. Yes or no?
mm, mm,
So if the music is in goodness, the effect will be happiness. If the music is in rajas, what is the effect? You know what will be the effect? Misery.
yeah.
Misery means there will be some troublesome. Okay? And when it will be in
Mm,
mode of ignorance, it will be foolishness, nonsense. It will be madness actually. Um,
mm,
like in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, food is talked about, and it says that food which is cooked and eaten within 3 hours of cooking is in goodness.
mm, mm.
Okay. So do you know how wine is made?
Here
grapes.
the
By grapes
serve.
only, right? Grapes.
Mm,
Now the
yeah.
grapes, we can eat it, as we pluck it, or when we go to market, we can buy grapes, right?
Mm,
But the same grape, if we ferment it for many days, months, and years, doesn't give us happiness. What it gives us is misery, madness. Through why it becomes alcohol. And alcohol initially may give very some happiness to the drinker, but it will damage his liver. Yes or no? Hmm?
respect.
Second thing, he will get hangover. He doesn't know how he's walking. If you have seen drunkards walking,
Mm,
and they will lie anywhere and they will say, I am so happy. But we know they are not happy. There is some
mm,
madness in
mm,
that. So, what I'm trying to say is everything in this world has these three things influencing. So, when we are doing our spiritual sadhana, right, sometimes we'll happily do it, sometimes it will be misery, and sometimes it will be very madness or sleepy, or indolence, or kind of thing.
mm,
So because we are in this body and we have to go through these three things now, we have to
mm,
target doing all our sadhana, spiritual sadhana, in goodness, okay, as much as possible. So in a day, so we have a day,
mm,
right, 24 hours,
mm,
okay. There are certain time where goodness is dominant, okay. Whatever you do, goodness is dominant, certain period of time.
mm,
Do you know when it
mm.
is?
Morning, Prabhuji.
Yeah, and when is the certain period of time where ignorance or tamas is prominent? Prominent or
Night.
dominant? Night, right?
Mm,
In night, we get what? Sleep.
Sleep.
mm,
Hmm? So, we have to use that time to sleep. We cannot do sadhana at that time. So, we have to do
mm,
sadhana when goodness is dominant. Okay, I typed about time. Similarly, there are places which is influenced by goodness. Which places are influenced by goodness? Of course, temple.
mm, mm,
Temple, forest, lake, or river. So, if you do some spiritual activity in these places, then goodness will be there. Passionate places are what?
office.
Hotel, office. Yes, we cannot do we cannot do good sadhana at these places. Okay, we may try to, but there will be some misery attached to it. Why? Because passion gives us misery. Similarly, ignorance is there. It will give us madness. What kind of places? Pubs and malls and all that, right?
Mm, mm,
So we talked about time, we talked about place, everything that we take, food, what else? Any activity you take, we should see whether the activity is done in a time where goodness is dominant. It is done in a place where goodness is dominant. Okay, then
yes, correct.
then our sadhana is consistent, and then we will experience better result.
Mm, mm,
Okay, so try to do at times where and at places where goodness is more. That is one key. What goes
mm,
in our
mm,
what what goes in our system, like food, music, the what we watch, see, talk to people, meet, everything, the more goodness it is, the better it is.
mm,
Okay,
mm.
okay. So having
Yes,
said that,
correct.
there are times where passion and ignorance are going to triumph us, meaning we cannot avoid them completely, right? We have to go to office, otherwise we won't get our salary, we won't be able to eat also. Agreed?
Mm.
Hmm?
Mm.
Ignorance, some places will be there in the night time, it will be there. You cannot avoid night time. The sleep will
Mm.
definitely come.
Mm.
Hmm? So
Mm.
the point is, in those days we should, if we are to supposed to do sadhana, our spiritual activity in such places and time, then we should do it as a
Mm.
duty.
Mm.
A duty. It's like, lifting garbage is dirty, right?
Mm.
But we
Mm.
do it. Why we do it? Because without that we cannot clean it. So
Mm.
what is the recommended thing? Okay, you do it, you put it in a bag, tie it, keep it out of your house, and then wash your hands with soap, right?
Mm. Mm.
So similarly, if we are doing our sadhana in passion and ignorance, and for some reason we have to do it, then we should do it with
Mm.
great precaution and some awareness. Okay.
Mm.
It should
Mm.
not be always that we are doing, in a time and place where passion and ignorance is there. We have to find certain time and place where goodness is there, and do most of our sadhana there. Let's say 80%, 90%.
Mm.
then
Mm.
then we will get consistency.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this is one way to look at it. Okay.
Mm.
Another
Yeah.
key is, which you have always heard, but it always keeps importance: association. Hmm?
Mm.
Association of devotees. The more we do with devotees, the better it is.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
That with devotees, right, corrects everything: the time, place, everything. It corrects.
Mm.
So
Mm.
the key is like that. And where we'll get devotees? In temple, in house, and all that. You know.
Mm.
So the thing is, first point is, don't get dejected if we feel slipped because of passion and ignorance. Okay, it happens because we are living in this world, we are functioning in this world, and we have to function. We are not like the sadhus in the Himalayas, left everything, right? We have to work here.
Mm. Mm.
Bhagavad Gita was
Yes.
spoken to whom?
Arjuna.
Did Arjuna leave after fighting Bhagavad Gita? After hearing Bhagavad Gita, sorry. He became the king, right?
Yes.
So that means he was like us only, working day and night, his administration job and all that,
Mm. Mm.
right? He's fighting. Okay.
Yes.
So there will be some disturbances. Definitely there will be some disturbances. What we have to do is we have to minimize it. And that we can do. We can minimize it,
Mm.
say, let's say 70 to 25% to 10% to 5% rest. That is possible, right?
Mm. Mm. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So when we try to minimize those passion and ignorance time now, and we gain into the goodness, then we start seeing changes. We don't slip, we
Mm.
progress.
Mm.
Okay. So don't be dejected. It's the way it is in this world. It is happens, but
Mm.
where there is goodness, we should pounce on that opportunity and try to do more sadhana in those times and places.
Mm.
Then what happens
Mm.
is, in passion and ignorance we can lessen the impact.
Mm. Mm.
See, in cricket, you must have seen cricket, right? You must
Mm.
have
Yes,
not played
Prabhuji.
it, but you have seen cricket. So the
Yes, Prabhuji.
batsman, he wants to hit the ball hard, right, for four and sixes, right?
Mm. Mm.
Now the ball is very hard.
Mm.
If it hits him, if he misses a shot and it hits his body, it will be painful, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So what they do, they wear protection, pads and
Mm.
hand gloves and helmet.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So the more the protection we have in from the goodness, right, we can take the passion and blows of passion and ignorance. That's what I'm trying to say. The blows of passion and ignorance are going to come, but if we have protection, from the goodness, from the sadhana that we did in the time of goodness, then the blows will be less.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Any other question or comment? We went little overboard. um, any other question or comment? Okay. So we'll meet next week.